this week, the Hemi goes back together. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? Well, this week, as you heard in the intro, the Hemi's going back together. We finally got our parts. We've got quite a bit of stuff here that we're going to be putting back on the engine. The only thing by the end of the day that won't be going back on is probably going to be the intake, and that's because you got to pull the intake off to put it in. So I'm not going to bother with putting all that on, but we'll deal with the intake when we get to that point. But today we've got everything from MDS, block off plugs, new timing set, plugs, gaskets, all kinds of stuff. I can't even, all the front accessories, idler pulleys, all that kind of stuff to be able to get this thing where the block itself is ready. It's ready to go to be put back in. So let's get to it. Your video. Mm-hmm. They look real good. I was like, those look real nice. That one does. I think we can mark that one as good. First thing that we're gonna do is just kind of finish disassembling what's left. Mainly the valve covers, coil packs. I gotta get all the coil packs off, get all the plugs out because we've got all new plugs and stuff. The valve covers, I'm gonna throw them over into some degreaser and let them be soaking to clean them up. And then we've got a new timing set that we're gonna be putting on right here. So I'm gonna be swapping the timing chain, getting all that, so we'll walk through that stuff. But for right now, just gonna finish, like I said, get all this stuff took apart and go ahead and let the valve covers be soaking the timing cover. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in too and let it be soaking on the backside. I pulled all of that stuff off a couple of days ago. I didn't video it, but I just went and rented a little 3-jaw puller to pull the damper off. And then there was 4 bolts left holding the timing cover off. Pop that off. The timing chain, it's up here up top, it's just rusty. It's clean all the way else, but I don't know if it just from its setting, I guess. It just kind of got rusty, and you know, they're fairly inexpensive for the whole set. So going to, once we get the motor in and run it, I'm gonna put, you know, we'll run it for, I don't know, I may run it about 500 miles, and then I'll probably change the oil filter, just because we're gonna be flushing a lot of stuff out of this motor stuff, and yeah, stuff like that and things, just to make sure we got everything out. But all right, the valve covers are off. They're not too bad, but you can see, if you watched my video last year when we put the Hemi in my truck, when I swapped that motor, if you pull your plugs on these motors and there's oil on the plug, I mean, that can be rings, that your rings are bad, but more than likely it's that these are bad, these O-rings. These aren't too bad. They're still a little flexible.
Weren't yours like crumbling?
Mine like crunched whenever I...
Did you get new these?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, look at that.
So these aren't too bad.
Well, that's good.
But so yeah, you just got to pull each one of those out, and then you got your valve cover here. And this one even feels still very pliable.
Mm. Do you think they replaced that at some point before?
It's a 120,000 mile motor. I mean, that's relatively a low mile engine.
Yeah.
But you can see all this is still pliable. But you want to get all of this stuff off, and then we're going to go throw it into some purple power. That way it can all soak and clean good. We'll scrub it, clean it up before we put the new gaskets back in. So I'm going to break all these down. All right, guys, I thought y'all might find this interesting. I'm gonna put the timing chain on now. It's gonna kind of show you how you do that on the 5.7 Hemis. So first of all, when you get here, I've got this little rivet here holding this in that holds your tensioner back. If I was to pull that out, it would put tension on the chain, which is the way that it drives. But it's like that, obviously it's hard to get off. So when you're installing and removing the chain, you can just kind of push that back so it just moves. Have you something small? I just had a rivet laying over there, so I stuck it in there to hold it back, and that gives me slack on the chain enough that I can remove it. Now the factory one, or when you order brand new, is going to come with, you can see that little pin clip in there to hold it back, and then once you install it, you just remove that, and it pushes that tensioner over and puts tension on the chain. But to find top dead centers, it's pretty neat on these motors the way that it does. Most all motors have timing marks top and bottom. These are a little bit different, but it's kind of a unique, I think, kind of cool way to do it. So it's easier to show you on the new one. So you can see on our bottom, you can see right there, very small little dot. That's our bottom mark. And the top one is a little bit easier to see. Get it off of there. You can see the dot there. So that's the top one. Now if you look on your chain, you can see this chain is different color, and then up here you've got two chains different colors. So what you do is, for your bottom, you want to take that bottom mark on the sprocket and put it directly into that darker chain, just like that. And then the top one, you've got one dot too, and so the two dots, the one dot is going to go right in the middle of those two. And so when all of that, and this table is clean, it don't look like this, but it is, it's just paint. But anyway, when all that's on, you've got top dead center lined up. And so if you see right here, my keyway is kind of at an angle here. Come over here, you'll see that I'm in sync here, and so I'm top dead center on the motor. You can barely see the top mark there, and you can't see the bottom one because it's behind the dude there. But anyway, so that's how you roughly, or that's not how roughly how, that's how you set your timing chain up on these, which is pretty cool. So I'm at top dead center now. You just turn your motor to your pistons at the top. I just stick a screwdriver down in the plug hole till I feel it push it up, and then when I see this mark pointing straight in line with this hole here, then I know I'm at top dead center. So I can take this off now, this old crusty old one, and we'll slap the new one on. All right, got all my portals cleaned up. I just took a drill with the little round wire wheel, covered all my holes up, and just kind of, it's not rust. I guess it is rust, but it's not like deep rust. It's just from setting. So, as soon as it touches, it just cleans right off. So, just kind of cleaned everything up. So, we're going to put our tensioner on now. And I just cleaned my bolts up with some carb cleaner. Name for the game, all this is just clean. Well, that ain't the only thing, but I don't have one of those shops that you can eat off of every surface in here. I wish I did, but I don't. So I just have to kind of pay attention, make sure you get everything wiped down and good. So when you go to install the gear, you have to do it all in one piece. You can't do just a gear and then the chain later. Like you have to. If everything's as it should be, then it should just go right back in. I don't have my bolt. Where do I set the bolt? Well, yeah, I set the. And we'll pull this little pin, and that will put tension on it, and the timing chain is on. Alright, so torque spec on the bolt was 90 pounds. Got that torqued. And now I'm waiting on some stuff kind of just soaking in degreaser. I'm going to throw in the MDS plugs. These are just, we got these I think on Amazon. They were like $14 or something like that. But it's just a plastic plug with 2 O-rings. That's just going to take the place of these ports. So let me see if I can get Andrew out here to film this to show you what we're doing. All right, so you can just run the MDS port, even if we're not going to be running MDS, and you can just leave these in. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're gonna have this harness and stuff, and they were like $14, I think, for these. So I was like, just be one less thing. So they just got a little 10mm bolt that holds each one of them in. Oh, that's great. That one just broke completely in two.
Oh no.
So I've got 2 out, got 2 left to go. This is what you end up with. That's the part that was broken off from the top. It's gonna shatter again. This is what's it's magnetic, but that's what's gonna come out. And it's also gonna have those with it, a little spring and a little ball bearing. Be sure you find those. But you just pull the plunger, and I found this on Boosted Motorsports. He's got a pretty cool Mopar page. I don't know what size bolt this is. Just take you a bolt, kind of get it started. Just gonna run it way down in there. Somewhere right in there. And this is violent. So, but it's what you gotta do.
Your discretion advised.
Take the good old claw hammer because my pry bars are all on the job. Cheater pipe.
Bolt came out.
That's the first time that's happened. Of course I would do these. Trying until Andrew comes out video.
Yeah. I need to go back inside.
Like that. Now that's the gracefulest one yet.
Good night, all the little stuff. They have 2 of those little springy things.
Yeah, they stay. Just brittle plastic.
Flying everywhere.
And the other ones just popped right out.
I'm gonna leave after this.
The other one's literally just lifted right out of there. There it is. So here's the plugs. Just do a little oil on the O-ring. Just, you don't have to do that, but I do. All right, so we got the timing cover cleaned up, new front seal in, new seal around here. These seals are directional in the back, so when you're putting it on, just kind of go slow and make sure you'll be able to tell if you're going wrong. Just flip it around. And then go back over it, make sure it's all standing up nice and straight, because it will get twisted in there pretty easy. Alright, water pump is torqued down. Damper's back on. Starting to look like a motor again. So now we've got thermostat and our filler neck. The factory thermostat on these is 210. And that's what I run in my truck. But on this one I went to a 190. Just to kind of try to keep a little bit cooler. I know it's a black hole if you get online. The pre-Eagle heads, which this one is 08, last year, these heads, before they went to the Eagle heads, have a known problem of dropping valve seats. And most people believe it's because of heat. Some say MDS, but most people have kind of come to the conclusion now that it's just heat. So I just figured anything we can do to kind of help this thing run a little bit cooler. And I know all the theories out there of, well, you're really not doing anything. Yeah, I know. I just want to run a 190. So how about that? I thought this might be of interest to you guys. I was getting ready to put the thermostat in, and I thought about this. I know a lot of people may not know this, but your thermostat actually has a correct way to go in. You can see that little, they call it the jiggle pin or the bleeder valve or whatever, but you see that little thing? That's to let air out of your system that gets trapped. So if I was to put this in and have that down, it'd be hard for air to get out. And so you always want to make sure that when you put in your thermostat, that little pin is straight up at 12 o'clock like so. That way, as air, obviously you get air bubbles, it will be able to vent out easier because the coolant level will probably be, right in here somewhere normally. But it just lets it vent out a little bit easier. So I learned that a long time ago and thought I'd pass it on. The cover bolts just look so bad. I gotta glue that mount back on, but that's not too big a deal. But I hit that one with a wire wheel, but it still looks bad. All right, I was about to go to town because I had an idea. Instead of painting the bolts, what I did on the Super Bee when I was restoring it was I just soaked all of my bolts in Vapor Rust. And so I looked on my shelf and I had some. I had a whole thing of it there. So we've got all the bolts and washers and everything that we'll need. All of my accessory bolts that were kind of rusty on the fronts, we'll just let them soak tonight. And tomorrow, hopefully, they'll be nice and clean. There's two. All right, so I took the bolts out of the soak. they're better. I could have left them in there longer, but you can see like on this one, there is some kind of paint or something on these bolts from the factory, because that's just raw steel that was rusted. Now it's clean metal. So they're real blotchy looking. So I'm gonna let them dry. We're gonna hit it with some good old Still-It and get this put back in. All right, sitting here gapping plugs. Got 8 down, got 8 more to go. The Hemi's call for a 44 gap, so that's just what I'm doing, which are pretty much, so far, every one of them have hit right on there. But every now and then you may run into one that is collapsed or opened up a little bit more. So it's good to just go through them with your feeler gauge and double check them. So we'll get all 16 of these gapped and get them in the motor. I've got the valve covers pretty much ready to go. I got one gaskets on one of them. Gonna put the gaskets in the other, and we'll get the top end of this thing buttoned up. Just giving every plug a little coating of anti-seize. Run them down in. That anti-seize is good. Anytime you're dealing with aluminum heads and stuff, well, really anything. Cast iron heads are aluminum, but put a little anti-seize on there help you out in the long run. So get these last few in and get the valve covers on. All right, so we're soaking the intake now. What I do, I just got my tub here, got it full of Purple Power, and these intakes are a little different than the ones on like my 09 Hemi. The throttle body is up here, but anyway, what I do is I'm just pouring Purple Power down the throttle tube, down the filler neck, down the PCV, just pouring it down in, taking just a scrub brush and getting way up in there, like, you know, as far as I can get, just kind of doing that. And then taking this dude that I built when I did my truck. It's just I think that was like a bottle cleaner for baby bottles or something, that we wrapped real strongly around a clothes hanger. And I'll show you in a minute, but when I flip it upside down to do the bottom, you can run this up into the intake and go all the way from in and out and just scrub it inside and out. So right now I'm just kind of letting it soak, and the intakes aren't like horrible. It's just residue and stuff like that, you know, from your vent system and everything. But just kind of letting everything soak and for right now, and just kind of every now and then coming back and refreshing, pouring some in, just to kind of get the intake cleaned out. All right, so we got it flipped upside down now. You can see the plunger coming out, and I just go in there at the top. Can't get it to go no more. And you can see the degreaser kind of just floating in there. And so I just go through each one. Just give it a little scrub and help break some of that junk loose. But I did that on my truck, and man, the inside of that thing was really clean. So, and this one is cleaner than my truck was to begin with. So I'm gonna run through all of these, let it soak a little bit, probably hit them one more time, and then we'll take it outside and flush the intake, and then it'll be ready to just kind of air dry. Also, guys, before I put the valve cover on, I just got junk everywhere in here. I cleaned all of my surfaces pretty well. They don't look like it. That's just staining right there on top, but it's went over it with a light piece of sandpaper, nothing heavy. I think it was like I don't even remember what it was. Real fine sandpaper, just to clean any corrosion off. Got our valve cover here ready to go back on. But and I went ahead and kind of just put a little oil on each one of where the rockers meet, because I did use some brake cleaner to kind of clean some of the just gunk off and sludge. And so just to give them a little bit of, I'm having to hold the phone weird, just to give them a little bit of lubrication while we're waiting on the, you know, to get it up before we turn it over the first time. So there's some kind of coating on there. Whatever. If you want to do that, you can. This is just what I do on this stuff. All right, so valve cover's on. I wish there was something to put on these valve covers to kind of make them look a lot cleaner. I know I could paint them. I don't really want to paint them though. I just don't. I just don't want to paint them. And it's, it's not a show queen or nothing like that, but I would like to do something to kind of liven the black back up where they just didn't look quite so faded. But I don't know. I know I could do like an engine dressing or something like that on there once we get it all together. And the intake's drying out. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. Everything else is looking all right. This side doesn't look too bad, but yeah, just got some fading, just white junk. And I don't know. If you guys know of anything that's kind of like a wipe-on product that would last, let me know. Comment below, let me know, because I would like to put something on there to kind of liven them back up. But I didn't feel like painting them because it's freezing right now. It's cold. And so, if it was middle of summer where I knew I could have just took them outside and painted them and it would have dried and I could have kept moving with this, then I would have. But we had one broken stud here and I've just JB welded it. So it's pretty much cured. I'm not going to tighten this bolt down on the coil pack just yet. I'm going to let it set a day or two. I've had this inside all day drying, but I had to JB weld that one back on. And so we're going to go now. Plugs are in, so we're just going to go through putting our coil packs on. You don't have to, and this is one of those dumb things that I do, that like to oil in the rockers or whatever, just stuff like that I keep mine in order. Whatever order I take the coil pack off, I keep them in that order. Do you have to do that? I don't think so. A coil pack is a coil pack. They're not specific to any cylinder. That's just one of those things that I do. And so that's the driver's side, front to back. Now this one, I believe it is. Yeah, this is the one with the broken tabs. Had 2 broken tabs on it. So we're gonna be chunking this guy. It's no good. But we do have a new one here to replace it with. So get these coil packs on, and it's gonna pretty much wrap up this day, I think. All right, guys. Well, the weekend has come to a close. It's Monday morning, and I'm about to head out to work. This is about as far as I think we're going to get on the Hemi for right now. The intake is clean, and I've just kind of been letting it sit here and dry. I'll probably set it out in the sun today while I'm gone and just kind of let it just kind of dry out. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to put it on right now anyway. Just wanted to go ahead and have it clean and ready to go. I still got to clean the injectors. We'll do that in a video. I've never done that before, but I've watched some videos on how to do that. It's pretty neat. So we'll try that here upcoming soon on kind of running through the injectors and making sure they're all clean. But yeah, for the most part, the motor is, it's ready to go. At the moment, I'm actually kind of running out of time, just to kind of give you guys an update on this whole thing. We had plans that during the fall, we were going to do a meetup, a termite meetup. We were going to try to get some folks together and go do a ride and some camp. We had plans to do that, but time has just not been on our side through this. We've got a lot going on. As me with work, everything going on, guys, it's just, we've just haven't been able to do the things that we wanted to do with that. So we were hoping to take the old AMC 360 on its last hoorah camp trip, but I don't know if that's even going to happen. But now that the motor is together, I'm really, really, really anxious to get it in here. So I don't know. We'll see. I may go ahead and start on this thing before we even get the harness ordered. I don't know. I hate to do that because I like to have stuff like that here just in case, because it's going to be really hard to tear apart a perfectly good running vehicle. If Termite didn't run, that'd be another thing. But anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It absolutely helps subscriptions, likes, comments. It keeps you in the algorithm of YouTube, and so we really appreciate that stuff. And if you need stickers, you can get them right here, termiteoffroad.com. You can always get our stickers and stuff like that. So I think that's everything. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. We'll see you next week.